and was surprised by the aggressive move from the Lorien Empire especially, since it occurred in the territory of the Imperial Sword of Kyril McGyver Brain explained that the Lorien Empire saw their own empire as a threat and expected such a move. He added that their empire had made many enemies and was considered the loser of the continent, leaving them with no choice but to deal with the situation wherein suggested investigating if the incident was related to the southern kingdoms of Astan, Travanel, Penria, or even the three kingdoms in the East. Ruan took on the responsibility of handling the situation to divert the conversation he mentioned. Hearing that their spy had been caught by a child, Bryn responded that the child in question was Kryril's newest pupil, who was only 12 years old, remarking that it was impressive. Bryn also noted that it was remarkable for Kyril to have taken in such a talented child, but it was unfortunate that the child had different aspirations. He suggested that if they could gain the child's cooperation early on, they could easily make him one of their own. Ruan agreed, mentioning that not all children followed their fathers, will just like them. However, Bryn said something strange about the situation, and Ruan asked what it was. Bryn revealed that the sixth son of the Viscount who caught the spy was not currently at his mansion. He asked Bryn if the palace had taken him in. Before Bryn could respond, someone called out to Ruan, making him angry. It was Oliver Stellan, the second prince of the empire, who had come to pay his respects. Reuben expressed his disinterest in such formalities, stating that they had never cared about them before. Oliver informed Ruan that it seemed the palace would be empty for a while, prompting Ruan to ask him what he wanted. Ruan then assured Oliver that he enjoyed wandering around outside, and that he shouldn't worry about whether he was with or without him. He reassured Oliver that the palace had been peaceful so far and would continue to be. Oliver was momentarily speechless before asking if Ruan knew about someone called the Slave King. Ruan explained that the Slave King was a man who helped slaves and immigrants escape a few years ago, and his activities had intensified after the heretic extermination order. He also mentioned that calling the FIFA King was ridiculous. Oliver agreed, but surprised Ruan by stating that the man had recently been caught. Ruan was surprised because the man was never been caught before. Oliver informed Ruan that Viscount Haroun had arrested the man, and he had been lucky. Ruan questioned why he should know such trivial things, to which Oliver replied that he simply wanted to share the news and thought Ruan should know too. Ruan, now angry, asked if Oliver intended to visit the Slave King and told him it was pointless. He insisted that Oliver was wasting his time, and if he was done, he should leave. Oliver responded that he would leave. Then he smiled, feeling accomplished. Meanwhile, Cairo was riding his horse somewhere, and he decided to take a quick break. He sat down and drank some water, knowing he was close to the edge of the Majava territory. He realized there might be some commotion due to his disappearance, but believed it didn't hold much significance. He understood he had to keep moving forward. His first goal was to gather evidence of Lorien Empire spies within the next 6 months. His second goal was to learn advanced magic. He acknowledged that the magic book and Inuri only contained low-level spells, and although he hadn't fully tapped into his magic blood veins, he could still use magic thanks to his bracelet. However, he needed to find a proper place to study advanced magic. He recalled the Ivory Tower of the Dawn Society, closely associated with the royal family, and the Immortal Antiquarian Grand Library, focused solely on magic. However, he knew both places restricted access to their own members. He shook his head, realizing he couldn't do anything about it. Suddenly, a thought struck him, and he realized there was one more place, the lair of his former comrade's Platinum Dragon, Nar Diamog. However, he understood it was too far away, and Nardai was still asleep. Moreover, the guards protecting the lair were too formidable for him. Therefore, his top priority was to improve his skills and build his power. The place he was heading to now would serve as his stepping stone, the free city, the only city on the continent without a king. Eventually, he arrived at the port city of Pesta, where he witnessed a bustling scene of people trading goods in the port. He acknowledged that if it weren't for his success in defeating the goblins earlier, the place might have been destroyed. He overheard a man talking excitedly to his friend, sharing that they had secured a contract to supply the knights who had arrived, relieving their business worries. For a while, the friend asked about the knight's identity. The man replied that they were from the Rhynites. Surprising the friend, the Rhynites were responsible for guarding the eastern border of the empire, and news of the conspiracy in the Lorien Empire had only broken a day ago. Therefore, the friend wondered why the knights were mobilizing so quickly. Kyril knew that the Rhynites remained neutral, but also supported Oliver. He speculated that there might be other plans in motion that he wasn't aware of. Considering investigating further, he said, realizing that he currently had limited options and didn't want to cause trouble without reason, he decided to stick to his own plans for now. As he looked up, he noticed the Merchant Association building ascending the stairs toward the Merchant Association. He knew that to reach the free city of Tador, he had to pass through the Pawnee River, which ran across the continent. Crossing the rapids and facing the monsters in the river would be challenging. Additionally, only one sailor could take him to Tartar through that river. Inside the building, he approached the lady at the desk and expressed his search for a guild or an upper-class individual who could guide him through the Pawning River to Tartar. He handed her a bag of gold coins. Apologizing to Elliot for using his savings, he understood that creating an upper-class guild was impossible given the imminent war. The lady, however, apologized and pushed the gold back to him, explaining that there were no merchants traveling the route. He mentioned this surprised him, and he asked the lady to repeat what she said. Behind him, two men laughed and teased him angrily. He demanded an explanation from the lady, questioning her about Sue and Hajar traveling with the Robart Guild. Japhon Groot. To his surprise, the lady claimed to have never heard of the Robart Guild. The teasing men behind him mockingly asked if he had just woken up from his mother's lap and stated that going to Tartar through the Pawn and River was suicidal. They further mentioned the lawless harbor ruled by the Golden Lion, wondering who in their right mind would willingly go and die there. Confused about the situation, he turned back to the lady and inquired if it was true that there was no Robart Guild and that she hadn't heard of Sue and Hajar. She affirmed that the Pious to Merchant Association was the only one present, and they had no knowledge of any Robart Guild or Sue and Hajar. Leaving the building, he recollected that when he first met Soon, the latter was already the leader of the Robart Guild. At that time, he was 15 years old, and it was 3 years from now on. He wondered how the guild could have grown so rapidly and become widely known in just 3 years. Suddenly, he heard shouting from a nearby location and noticed a crowd of angry people berating someone for helping immigrants. He managed to slip through the crowd and witness the soldier kicking a man. To his shock, he recognized the man being kicked as Soon Hajar and wondered why he was a prisoner. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment part 2 in the comments section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time again.